Hello, everyone. This is the third part of a video about the most horrific experiments on humans. Let's get started. Unit 731. Detachment 731 was a biological and chemical weapons research unit of the Imperial Japanese Army. The unit conducted human experiments during World War II and was responsible for some of the worst war crimes committed by Japan. Unit 731 conducted experiments on live prisoners, including Chinese, Korean, Russian, and Mongolian civilians, as well as prisoners of war, to develop and test biological and chemical weapons. The full extent of the atrocities committed by Unit 731 is not fully known, but it is estimated that thousands of people were killed and ill-treated. Electrocution of Children. Dr. Loretta Bender worked at New York's Bellevue Hospital from 1942 to 1955. She administered electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, or electroshock therapy, to hundreds of infants and children aged 3 to 12. ECT is a psychiatric treatment that uses electrical currents to stimulate the brain and can be used to treat severe depression, bipolar disorder, and catatonia. While this form of therapy is known to be effective for some people, its use, particularly in children, is controversial and considered unethical. Infection of mentally retarded children with hepatitis. In Staten Island, New York, the Willowbrook State School was a state-funded institution for children with intellectual disabilities. In the early 70s, the institution fell into disrepair. Reports and investigations showed that it was overcrowded, did not meet hygiene standards, and had a shortage of qualified staff, creating conditions that amounted to inhumane treatment. Astonishingly, the reports showed that the staff of the institution deliberately infected children with hepatitis as part of an experiment to study the effects of the virus. This led to numerous lawsuits and subsequent investigations, which eventually resulted in the closure of the school in 1987. Nazi experiments. During the Second World War, the Nazis conducted cruel experiments on concentration camp inmates. People were frozen, subjected to experiments at high altitudes, tested for the effects of chemical and biological agents, and much more. The people responsible for these inhumane experiments were later tried for war crimes. Experiment with the drug TGN 1412. In 2006, a trial of the immunomodulatory drug TGN 1412 was conducted to evaluate its effectiveness in treating various autoimmune diseases and leukemia. In the course of the study, the drug was administered to 6 healthy volunteers, but in all of them it unexpectedly caused an acute systemic inflammatory response syndrome and multiple organ failure. This led to life-threatening conditions that required emergency medical care and immediate termination of the trial. Fortunately, thanks to prompt medical intervention, the volunteers were able to recover without any long-term consequences. Mustard gas tests on soldiers. Mustard gas is a chemical warfare agent used during the First and Second World Wars. It causes severe irritation of the skin, eyes, and respiratory tract and blistering. During the First World War, mustard gas was tested on U.S. soldiers to evaluate its effectiveness as a weapon. Needless to say, soldiers exposed to mustard gas often suffered serious injuries and long-term health consequences. No doubt, these unfortunates had no idea what consequences awaited them. Release of infected mosquitoes. In the 1950s, the U.S. Army released millions of mosquitoes infected with dengue and yellow fever in Avon Park, Florida, and Savannah, Georgia. This was done in order to test whether mosquitoes can act as a biological weapon, spreading contagious diseases. Needless to say, the experiment resulted in many people getting sick and some dying. Radioactive pills for pregnant women. As part of a study conducted at Vanderbilt University in the 1940s, pregnant women were given radioactive pills at the university's free prenatal clinic. This experiment was conducted in the context of human testing to determine the effects of nuclear explosions and other types of radioactive exposure on humans during the Cold War that followed World War II. This is the end of the experiment topic. If you have not mentioned any, please write in the comments, and watch the previous 2 videos. And subscribe to the channel, it's important to us. See you soon!